Thank you very much for joining me for my 2018 Academy Award predictions, where I try and predict the Oscar winners in all 24 categories. Just a couple of quick heads ups. First of all, I am still getting over not feeling that well, being under the weather, so hopefully my voice will hold up throughout this entire video. I'll do my best. And also, I will try my best to pronounce all the names of the nominees and the films correctly. Once again, I will do my best. So with that being said, there's a lot of categories here, 24 of them, so I will just get right into it. Just wanted to mention that some categories I will comment more on than others. So I'm going to start with makeup and hairstyling because it is the only category that has 3 nominees instead of 5 or more in the case of Best Picture. So we have Darkest Hour, Victoria and Abdul, and Wonder. Darkest Hour will win. This is probably one of the biggest locks of the night. Not much else to say about that. And it would be a deserving winner as well, in my opinion. Next, I'm going to cover the short categories as well as documentaries and animation. So for documentary short, we have Edith and Eddie, Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405, Heroin, Knife Skills, and Traffic Stop. Really, this is one of those categories that can be very unpredictable. What I try and do is just look up what each film is about, see if any of them are, timely subject matter, and also just topics the Academy generally goes for. I'm going with Edith and Eddie here. It seems like a decent amount of people are. But I will say as an alternative, look for Heroin, which seems to be coming on strong and could also be relevant. But I'm going to go with Edith and Eddie. So I'll go right into documentary feature, where we have Abacus, Small Enough to Jail, Faces Places, Icarus, Last Man in Aleppo, I believe, and Strong Island. Once again, this can be a pretty wide open category some years. I think it somewhat is this year. For me, it comes down to Faces, Places, and Icarus, which are very different. But I'm going with Icarus, again, because I think the subject matter might just be a little bit more relevant to the Academy right now. But Faces, Places could be a sentimental favorite, and that would be my second choice. But once again, I am going with Icarus here. But I could definitely see this one going in a number of different directions. For foreign language film, we have A Fantastic Woman, The Insult, Loveless, On Body and Soul, and The Square. I'm going with The Square, but I really have no idea. This category to me is completely wide open this year. This is one of the toughest years to pick Best Foreign Film. A Fantastic Woman would be in my number 2 position, but I am going with The Square. For Best Animated Feature, we have Coco, Ferdinand, Loving Vincent, The Boss Baby, and The Breadwinner. It's Coco all day, every day. This is probably, along with Makeup, the biggest lock of the night. I don't see any way Coco doesn't win here. So I'll go with that. For animated short film, we have Dear Basketball, Garden Party, Lou, Negative Space, and Revolting Rhymes. Once again, I haven't seen any of these. I see a lot of people going with Dear Basketball, but there's a little bit of controversy behind that one. And also, it doesn't really seem like the kind of short the Academy would go for. So I'm going to go with Lou just because I think it's the most high profile. The most people have probably seen it. That doesn't always mean that it will win. The Academy doesn't always go for the most known short in this category. But in this case, I don't have a better alternative. So I'm going to go with Lou. I will put Dear Basketball in second just because a lot of people seem to really like it. For live action short film, we have DeKalb Elementary, The 11 O'Clock, My Nephew Emmett, The Silent Child, and Watu Wote, All of Us. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think this one's close to a lock for DeKalb Elementary. The subject matter seems to be very timely right now. If I did have a second place, I would say The 11 O'Clock just because it feels the most different, and sometimes when something is different from all the other nominees, that can help it to win. But I'm pretty sure DeKalb Elementary will win here. I'd actually be a little bit surprised if it doesn't. Now I will go into the rest of the tech categories, which are some of my favorite awards of the night to watch and also to predict, as this can really make or break predictions. Some of these categories can be tricky. So I'll start with production design. We have Beauty and the Beast, Blade Runner 2049, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, and Shape of Water. I've seen 4 of these 5 movies, did not see Beauty and the Beast, but I'm sure the production design is really good. It makes sense. Of the other 4, they're all really good. My personal pick would be Blade Runner 2049, but I think The Shape of Water will be the winner, and that's a fine winner as well. Like I said, Blade Runner 2049 I have in second place as far as winning, but I would pick it myself. But I think Shape of Water's got this one. For best score, we have Dunkirk, Phantom Thread, Star Wars The Last Jedi, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I will just be calling 3 Billboards for the rest of its nominations. My favorite of the bunch, I've actually seen all these, is Phantom Thread, but once again, I think The Shape of Water will win this award. I feel pretty confident in that pick. For Best Song, we have Mystery of Love from Call Me By Your Name, Remember Me from Coco, Stand Up for Something from Marshall, Mighty River from Mudbound, and This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. Now, I have to say, in a strange turn of events, I actually have not seen any of these films, which is rare for me. I did, however, look up and listen to every one of these songs, as I do every year. And I have to say, to be fair, I haven't seen them in the context of the movie. But just listening to the songs on their own with a video, 3 of these songs put me to sleep. 1 gave me a headache, and 1 I actually liked. Mystery of Love, Remember Me, and Mighty River, to me, they're just very bland songs that didn't really do a lot for me, just being honest. This Is Me from Greatest Showman gave me a headache. I didn't like it at all. Stand Up for Something from Marshall I actually liked, which means it probably has no chance of winning. So this can be a tricky category. I'm going with Remember Me from Coco because often songs from animated films win. However, that's not always the case. And I could see Mighty River from Mudbound winning because Mary J. Blige is also nominated for Supporting Actress, and I don't think she'll win there. So this could be a way to reward her. Also, This Is Me from The Greatest Showman won the Golden Globe, so I could also see that one winning. This is a tough category to pick. Really, any of these could probably win. Mystery of Love from Call Me By Your Name is the only one on the Best Picture nominee, I believe. So really, you could make a case for any of these songs. But I'm going to take this safe pick and go with Remember Me from Coco. But I'm not really too confident about this one. Next, one of my favorite categories, Best Visual Effects. We have Blade Runner 2049, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and War for the Planet of the Apes. I have seen 4 of these 5 films. I did not get around to seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm sure it's a good movie. It's just not necessarily my thing. I actually got a chance to see Kong Skull Island on television a couple weeks ago. I know a lot of people didn't really like it that much. I enjoyed the movie. It's not great. It's not a masterpiece of cinema, but I thought the effects were good. And I thought it was an entertaining blockbuster type film. Star Wars The Last Jedi I liked a lot. I didn't think the effects were as good as some other Star Wars films, however. This leaves it to me between Blade Runner 2049 and War for the Planet of the Apes. A lot of people are going with Apes, but I'm going with Blade Runner 2049 for 2 reasons. Number 1, it has more overall nominations, which could mean it has a little bit more support in the tech categories. And number 2, the last 2 Planet of the Apes movies have also been nominated, but neither one of them have won, so I'm not really sure how much the Academy loves these films. To be fair, the original Blade Runner, all the way back in 1982, didn't win either, but that was years and years ago, so I'm not as concerned about that. So I am going with Blade Runner 2049 here. We'll see what happens. I think this one could go either way. Next up, Best Costume Design. We have Beauty and the Beast, Darkest Hour, Phantom Thread, Shape of Water, and Victoria and Abdul. I think Phantom Thread will win just based on the content of the film. I mean, the film is about a dressmaker. It makes sense. I would say Beauty and the Beast, though, does have a chance. The Academy does not always go with a Best Picture nominee in this category, but I am going with Phantom Thread, and I would be happy if it won because Phantom Thread was my favorite film of last year, and it would be nice to see it win something. Next, I'm going to do sound editing and mixing together for the simple fact that they have the same 5 nominees. So we have Baby Driver, Blade Runner 2049, Dunkirk, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and The Shape of Water. Now, this was kind of strange general in these two categories. There's at least one or two differences in the nominations. I believe this is the first time in a long time, or maybe ever, that all 5 nominees are the same in both sound mixing and sound editing. I'm going with Dunkirk to win both of these awards. The Academy tends to like war films in this category. Hacksaw Ridge won sound mixing last year as a good example of that. But sometimes there is a split in these two categories, and if there is a split, I would say my second choice in sound mixing is Shape of Water. My second choice in sound editing is Star Wars The Last Jedi. But I am predicting Dunkirk to win both of these awards. And it's a way to honor that film with something as well. So, next we go to film editing, another tricky category. We have Baby Driver, Dunkirk, I, Tonya, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards. I'm going with Dunkirk here. Again, war films have a decent history in this category in recent years. The Academy also tends to like the flashier editing in this category. And again, they don't always go with a Best Picture nominee. So I think Baby Driver has a legitimate shot at winning this. But I am sticking with Dunkirk. But again, there's a few different films I could see winning this category. Next, we go to cinematography, which is just an absolutely loaded category. We have Blade Runner 2049, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Mudbound, and The Shape of Water. All these are really great nominees. It's great to see Mudbound here. I'm hoping Blade Runner 2049 wins because Roger Deakins has never won, and he's got a ton of nominations for those of you that follow the history of the awards. I also think that Blade Runner really deserves to win this. All these are very strong in the area of cinematography, but I really think Blade Runner 2049. I did have a few issues with the movie, but it's an absolutely amazing looking film. I could see Dunkirk, Mudbound, or Shape of Water winning this award, however, for different reasons. This is a loaded field, but I am going with Blade Runner 2049 as my winner. But this is a tough one. Now I'll be going into what they call the Big 8 categories. Starting with adapted screenplay, we have Call Me By Your Name, Logan, Molly's Game, Mudbound, and The Disaster Artist. Nice to see Molly's Game here. I thought the script was one of the better parts of that movie. I also got a chance to see Logan a few weeks back. I did not see it in theaters. It was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. I'm glad that's here as well. But I think Call Me By Your Name is the easy winner in this category. I don't really even see a good alternative. Maybe Mudbound would be in second place, but I think Call Me By Your Name will be the winner. For Best Original Screenplay, we have Get Out, Lady Bird, The Big Sick, Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards. This is a tough category. I did not see The Big Sick. I also just don't think it has a chance because this is the only nomination the film has. I thought for a while Lady Bird had a good shot, but it really seems like that film has lost momentum. Has not been winning a lot of awards, honestly, anywhere. Also was not a personal favorite of mine. But a decent film. Shape of Water, I thought had a great chance for a while, but now there's some controversy surrounding that one as well. I really think this comes down to Get Out and 3 Billboards. 3 Billboards seems like the easier, more logical choice based on some of my predictions later on, but I've just had a feeling about Get Out. These two films have been splitting this award, and I'm going to go with Get Out. I feel like they want to reward Jordan Peele somewhere, and I don't think he's going to win Best Director. So, I'm going to go against my own conventional wisdom and say Get Out wins this one. We'll see what happens. I could see 3 Billboards winning this as well very easily. So now moving on to Best Director. Our 5 nominees are Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk, Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, Guillermo del Toro for Shape of Water, hope I pronounced that name correctly, Jordan Peele for Get Out, and Paul Thomas Anderson for Phantom Thread. I would love to see Paul Thomas Anderson win. He's never won in this category, and Phantom Thread was my favorite film of last year. However, I think Mr. Del Toro has this pretty much in the bag. If I had to pick a second place, I would say it's probably Jordan Peele for Get Out at this point. I feel like Dunkirk has lost some momentum in the major categories anyway, but I think Mr. Del Toro is pretty much a lock. I would be surprised if he doesn't win for Shape of Water. For Best Supporting Actress, we have Allison Janney for I, Tonya, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, Leslie Manville in Phantom Thread, Mary J. Blige for Mudbound, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water. I'm pretty sure Allison Janney's going to win for I, Tonya. I think Laurie Metcalf is still in second place for Lady Bird, but Allison Janney seems to have all the momentum right now, and I am picking her to win. For Best Supporting Actor, we have Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World, Richard Jenkins for The Shape of Water, Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards, Woody Harrelson for 3 Billboards, and Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project. I think Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards is almost a lock at this point. I would love to see Christopher Plummer win for All the Money in the World. His was my favorite supporting actor performance of the year, but I think his nomination will be his reward. And Sam Rockwell is also a very deserving winner. He was excellent in the film, and I am picking him to win. For Best Actress, we have Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, Meryl Streep for The Post, Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water, and Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird. I think Frances McDormand will win for 3 Billboards. I think this one is pretty much a lock as well. I do think Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water has a slight chance of winning, and if the film sweeps for some reason, which I don't think it will, but if it does, she could go along for the ride, and she would also be deserving, but I do think Frances McDormand will win this. For Best Actor, we have Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire, Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, and Timothée Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name. I think Gary Oldman is a lock for Darkest Hour. Daniel Day-Lewis was great. Daniel Kaluuya was really good as well, but I really don't see anybody beating Gary Oldman. He's never won before, and he checks off all the Oscar boxes, including playing a famous historical person. So I'm going with Gary Oldman pretty confidently here. And then finally for Best Picture, we have Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards. I'm going to rank these in order from probability from least likely to win to most likely to win. So of the 9 films, in 9th place I have The Post. It only has 2 nominations total. I think it was lucky to get into this category, and even though it was a front runner early on, it just doesn't really seem to have any momentum right now at all. Nobody's really talking about this film that much. In 8th place, I have Darkest Hour. It was a solid film that I liked a lot, but it doesn't feel like a Best Picture winner, and I think rewarding Gary Oldman and the makeup team will be like rewarding the film in this case. In 7th place, I have Call Me By Your Name, another film that seems to kind of have lost momentum and just seems to kind of be there. I did not see this film, so I don't have a personal opinion on it, but it just doesn't feel like it can really win at this point. In 6th place, I have Dunkirk. Some people might feel that's a little low, but it doesn't have any acting or screenplay nominations, and it just, again, doesn't feel like a Best Picture winner at this point. Although I did see Dunkirk, I did not review it. I saw it early on in the year, and I thought it was a solid film. Not great or perfect, but a good film. I just don't think it's going to win. In 5th place, I have my personal choice, Phantom Thread, which would be the film I was voting for if they gave me a vote in the Academy, which they do not. I thought it was the best film of the year. I think it's a little stronger than some people think. It got 2 acting nominations, and it got a Best Director nomination, but it feels like the movie might have come on a little bit too late, and it really hasn't won any major awards during the awards season, so I have it right in the middle of the list in 5th place, but I don't think it's going to win. In 4th place, I have Lady Bird, a film which was not my personal favorite, although I thought it was okay, but a film I really thought had a great shot, probably a couple weeks ago to win, but it just hasn't won any major awards in quite a while. Just seems like it's lost a lot of steam. I still give it an outside shot the way the preferential ballot works, because I don't think a lot of people are going to rank it very, very low. I just don't see it getting a lot of 1st and 2nd place votes either, though. There just doesn't seem to be enough passion behind it for it to win. But I do have it in 4th place with an outside shot to win. In third place, I have Get Out, a film that seems to still be building momentum. I think this one could actually be the sleeper. This is one of 3 films I really give a legitimate shot at winning. It could just win original screenplay and best picture, and that could be enough. I believe Spotlight did that a few years ago. So if you believe it's going to win original screenplay, it could also win best picture. I still think there's 2 films ahead of it. It missed a few key nominations like editing, but it does feel like a socially relevant movie, at least to a lot of Academy members, I believe. And I do think it has a chance. I just feel like my number 1 and 2 movies are a bit stronger overall. So this to me was a toss-up, but at number 2, I'm going with Shape of Water. This one and my number 1 choice, 3 Billboards, both have some pros and cons. Shape of Water, I don't think is going to win screenplay, which generally hurts its chances of winning. Also, it was not nominated for a SAG Ensemble Award, which really hurts its chances of winning according to history. But it does have the most nominations of any film, which could help it if there's a lot of tech support for it. It's also probably going to win Best Director, which doesn't always seem to line up as much as it used to in the past. But it's definitely a strong contender. It's won a lot of big awards like Producers Guild and several others, and I do think it could really go either way between my number 2 and number 1 choices. So I have Shape of Water in second. I would not be surprised at all if it won, but I am going with 3 Billboards as my winner pick. Now, obviously, the knock against it is not going to win Best Director because the director is not nominated. But Argo was able to pull this off a few years back when Ben Affleck was not nominated. It seems to really be building a lot of momentum. I know there's also some controversy. Some people have some issues with the film. I personally did not have these issues with the film, but I understand that they're there. Things going for 3 Billboards. I think it's going to win 2 acting awards. It also probably has a 50-50 chance of winning Best Original Screenplay, and that could be enough to put it over the top. Remember, the actors branch is a big number of Academy voters, and it just feels like 3 Billboards is a little stronger than Shape of Water to me overall. Like I said, the lack of a Best Director nomination was a little puzzling and does hurt it some, but I am going with 3 Billboards as my winner pick. I just feel like it has a few less things going against it than Shape of Water. Although, like I said, there doesn't seem to be any consensus issue. This is actually a very tough category to pick, and I could see any of my top 3 films winning, but I am going with 3 Billboards for the win. We will see what happens. So that'll do it for my 2018 Academy Award preview and prediction video. Thanks for watching, for sticking with me. I know this is a bit of a longer video than usual. There will be a channel update sometime near the end of the month when I will be talking about a lot of things related to the channel. Thank you for your continued support, and thank you very much for watching.